ever had someone tell you a story that sounded perfectly normal, but something inside you whispered, "Nope, that's not what happened"? Humans have a sixth sense for nonsense, but most people never learn how to decode it. They just get that weird twinge in their stomach and shrug it off. But here's the truth. Everyone lies. A little, a lot, on purpose, by accident, to protect themselves, to avoid awkwardness. Or because they're running late and traffic was horrible is easier than admitting they overslept. Spotting lies isn't negative. It's survival in a world where people don't hand out the truth like candy. And the good news, you don't need a badge, a polygraph, or a two-way mirror to detect deception. You just need a few psychological tricks the FBI has relied on for decades, ones you can use in your everyday life without looking like you're interrogating the neighborhood. Let's jump into the first one because this is the place people mess up the most, and also the fastest way to catch a lie. Ask the right questions. If you want the truth, you can't ask questions that encourage lies. Unfortunately, that's exactly what most people do. Questions like, how did it go? Everything okay? You didn't do anything stupid, right? These questions practically roll out the red carpet for liars. They're open, vague, and easy to dodge. They invite short, fluffy answers that tell you nothing about what really happened. Even worse, questions with a positive assumption. You weren't out late, right? You didn't talk to them again, did you? People saying right or no isn't honesty, it's convenience. Research shows that the best questions for exposing lies are open-ended and built on a negative assumption. Not aggressive, not confrontational, just a question that forces detail.
What color is my underwear?
For example, instead of, did you get home late last night? Try, what ended up keeping you out so late last night? Instead of, did you handle that situation? Try, what problems did you run into when you handled it? Instead of, was everything fine? Try, what exactly made things complicated? Why does this work? Because the brain splits into two paths. Truth tellers recall. Liars invent. Recalling takes almost zero mental effort. Inventing, that's where the wheels start to wobble. When someone is lying, their brain must generate details that sound believable, and details are where lies collapse. The more specific you make the question, the harder it is to maintain the story. But don't overlook the tone. Asking the right question in the wrong tone ruins everything. If you come in like a prosecutor, explain yourself. The other person shuts down instantly, honest or not. Keep it calm, neutral, curious, not suspicious. A curious tone invites truth. A hostile tone invites defense. And here's the part most people don't know. When you ask questions built on negative assumptions, liars often either over-explain or under-explain. Over-explainers add too much. Well, I was going to leave at 7:30, but then my phone battery was low, so I had to charge it, and then my neighbor called, and then my shoe was missing. Under-explainers avoid detail altogether. I don't know, I was just out. Truth lives in balanced detail. Lies live in extremes, and if you only remember one thing from this entire video, remember this. Ask questions that force detail without forcing pressure. The 5-second rule. This is where FBI behavioral analysts silently scream, yes, pay attention here. When you ask a question, the first 5 seconds are the most honest part of the entire interaction. Not because people want to be honest, but because the brain hasn't had enough time to construct a polished lie. You're watching for things like hesitation, dodging the question, stumbling, inconsistent wording, touching the face, looking away, a sudden change in tone, a noticeable increase in blinking, a micro-expression of stress. One sign means nothing. Humans are fidgety, anxious, distracted, and occasionally clueless. Some people touch their face every 5 seconds even when telling the truth. Some pause because they heard the microwave beep. Some stare into space because that's what their brain does. But 2 or more signals in those first 5 seconds is called a cluster, and clusters matter. Clusters mean the brain is scrambling to build a believable answer. Because the crazy part is this. Once you learn to watch those first 5 seconds, you'll start noticing lies everywhere. You'll see them from strangers, friends, coworkers, even the barista who insists they definitely remembered your order. The world becomes a very interesting place once you know what the scramble looks like. Know their baseline. Before the FBI even begins questioning someone, they spend time observing the person's natural behavior. This baseline is the gold standard for detecting deception. A baseline includes someone's normal tone, usual eye contact, regular posture, typical hand gestures, natural pace of speech, comfort level, emotional tone. If someone always avoids eye contact, avoiding eye contact doesn't mean they're lying. If someone always talks fast talking doesn't mean dishonesty. If someone always rambles, rambling doesn't mean deception. Behavior only matters when it changes. Start with safe, neutral topics. Small talk. Let them get comfortable. Watch how they behave when there's nothing at stake. This is their normal. Then shift into a harder topic and watch for the deviations. Does their tone suddenly tighten? Do their answers shrink? Do their gestures slow or stop? Does their voice rise in pitch? Does the smile disappear instantly? Do they start pausing in places they didn't before? Baselines are powerful because deception disturbs normal behavior. You're not looking for stereotypical liar behaviors. You're looking for breaks from personal patterns. Use the double question technique. This technique is simple but devastating. Ask the same question 2 different ways, several minutes apart. For example, you talked to her yesterday, right? Wait 2 minutes. So, what exactly did you talk about with her yesterday? Truth stays consistent. Memory pulls from one source. Lies come from imagination, and imagination isn't consistent. Liars struggle to maintain invented details because they aren't recalling, they're creating. So they often add details, drop details, change timelines, shift wording, adjust emotions, or contradict themselves subtly without noticing. You're not interrogating, you're cross-referencing. Watch for uncertain language. Lies are emotionally fragile. Because of that, liars add verbal padding to protect themselves. Listen for, I think, maybe, I guess, to my knowledge, if I remember right, probably, something like that. These phrases soften statements. They give the liar room to retreat if challenged.
Morning. Good day to you, sir. Hey, wait a minute, what the hell?
Truth doesn't need wiggle room. Lies require it. But don't jump to conclusions. Some people talk this way naturally. But if the uncertainty only shows up during important and sensitive details, you have a problem. Topic switching. Topic switching is one of the biggest telltale signs of deception. You ask, so what time did you actually get home? They respond with, oh, that reminds me, have you seen the neighbor's new car? No, we are not talking about the neighbor's car. We are talking about you and the question you just tried to escape. Topic switching is a psychological escape hatch. It means the topic you touched hit a nerve, and the brain, trying to avoid the discomfort, suddenly redirects the conversation. All you have to do is calmly redirect it back. We'll talk about that in a second, but finish telling me about last night. If they squirm harder when brought back to the original topic, you're close to the truth. Interrupt the narrative. Lying takes effort, a lot of effort. Truth is remembered. Lies are constructed. To expose a constructed story, interrupt it mid-flow. Say something harmless like, hold on, what were you doing right before that again? This forces the liar to stop the fake story, shift attention, answer your new question, and try to return to the lie without losing the invented details. Truth tellers can jump in and out of their story easily. Liars, they often restart the story wrong, change details, mix up the timeline, lose emotional consistency, or fall into an awkward pause as the brain tries to rebuild the lie. After the interruption, simply say, sorry, go on. Then watch how well or how poorly they climb back into the story. Use the fake detail trick. This is one of the FBI's favorite moves because it works instantly. Slip a false detail into the conversation. For example, you said it happened Tuesday, right? Kinda weird. That place is usually closed on Tuesdays. A truthful person corrects you immediately. What? No, it wasn't Tuesday, it was Wednesday. A liar often agrees with the false detail. Oh, yeah, I think it was Tuesday. Why? Because liars fear contradicting anything. They think agreeing with you makes their lie more believable, but all it does is expose the fact that they were never anchored to the truth in the first place. Analyze time consistency. Time exposes lies faster than any other method. Ask simple time-based questions. What time did you leave? When did you get there? How long did that take? What happened right after that? How much time passed between those things? Truth fits into a realistic timeline. Lies often require impossible travel times, unrealistic gaps, or magically convenient sequences of events. If someone says they drove 40 minutes in 10 minutes, nope. If they say they ran errands for 3 hours but only mention one 10-minute task? Nope. Liars underestimate time constantly because they're inventing the story, not recalling it. The more time details you ask for, the more unstable the lie becomes. Human beings are capable of incredibly convincing lies. Some lie to protect feelings, some lie to avoid judgment, some lie because it's easier than explaining the truth, and some lie simply because they're used to doing it. But your intuition is better than you think. These techniques help you put structure around what your instincts already sensed. Truth is steady, lies wobble, and once you learn to spot that wobble, you'll notice it everywhere. If you like videos that help you understand the human mind, behavior, and the hidden psychology behind everyday life, be sure to subscribe. It helps the channel grow, and it lets me keep making videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and keep your eyes open. The truth is always hiding in plain sight.